Hi, everyone. Welcome to the National Parents Union Nightly Restorative Check-In. It's Friday, November 20th. Time just keeps marching along. I can't even believe that this year is finally over. Although I think for some of us, we're probably excited that 2020's wrapping up. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Anjali Lafarie. I am here in Arizona in this beautiful Sonoran Desert on Atham land. This show is the brainchild of my co-host, Marisol Quevedo-Rerucha. She hosts the show on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I host on Friday. So the way that I conceive of the Nightly Restorative Check-In is I think about the end of the week. I think about kind of wanting to be with your people. If it's me, I want good food. I want to chill. Like I want to be like in a bed, relaxing, or on a couch. Maybe watching TV. I don't actually watch that much TV, y'all. But so when I'm really tired, I do want to do that. But the point is kind of being with the people and the family and the friends that you love and having them be able to check on you and you on them, where you can really have like that deep conversation of like, really, how are you? How are you? So originally, Marisol brought me on to her show because I'm a psychologist, a hypnotherapist, and a professor. And on the first show, I taught a breathing technique titled 4-7-8. So I want to maintain the integrity of the show. You all have become accustomed to that, and it's actually a breathing technique that I love. I actually use it to transition. I always say, like, kind of as I'm going from one meeting to the next. Some people use it. Marisol uses it to go to sleep, and that's actually a highly recommended way and researched way to use this breathing technique. But the way that 4-7-8 goes is you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 7, and then you exhale for 8. And you do that 4 times around. When you're exhaling for those 8 seconds, you actually want to, it sounds weird, but like almost hold your breath and release it at the same time. What you want to avoid is that big exhalation, that dump of breath out, because it's almost like, a workout, right? Where you're holding a little bit as you're releasing. So normally I count us through for the breath pattern, right? I will count it out for you. I always recommend that when you're doing anything meditative or contemplative, and all these things that center you and have you focus back on yourself, that you close your eyes if that's possible. And if that's uncomfortable for some reason, then maybe just look down at the floor or look at your lap. The reason is because our visual sense is a kind of one of the senses that many of us use the most, and which also means that it distracts us if something crosses our visual field. Okay, so normally I have to get myself ready because I'm so fatigued that I'm so ready to do this breath. Okay. It's just, I know it's a hard time of the year for all of us, right? Where we're just feeling kind of the brunt of the school year, the brunt of our work, getting ready for the holidays. So, all right. So go ahead and close your eyes if you're going to be participating. Take in a natural breath, right? Just inhaling, exhaling as you normally would. And on your next inhalation, inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Go back to your normal breath pattern. I can't feel you guys as well this time. So normally I can feel your responses and your reactions. Right now I just feel fatigue. And I guess because I am so fatigued, I don't know if that's me or you. But I hope that it was helpful to you. I usually say if for some reason it felt a little awkward, especially if it's your first time, I really encourage you to practice this breath pattern. Try it at least 2 or 3 times to get the hang of it. You know, the first time that I tried it, I just felt like my breath was all cut up, right? It wasn't a natural way of breathing. But then once I learned it and mastered it, I just got so many good benefits. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety in particular, this breath pattern is also really beneficial, just to help you calm down and focus yourself. Okay. So let me finish introducing myself. So I introduced who I am as far as my professional attributes or my professional work. But my personal life, my family, and my community are also really important to me. I am originally from Southern California, although I'm here in Arizona. My father is Afro-Cuban, and so we're Taino and Arawak. My mom's from Guatemala, so hail from Maya territory on that side. Some of you have met, or at least seen, my brother and sister through the show. They were some of my original guests. I have a 20-year-old daughter who I'm going to say happy birthday, who is going to be 21 on Sunday. I don't even I feel so mommy emotional about it. But anyway, those are some of the main affiliations. The other one, as far as my community goes, is that I'm a member of the Siwa Patni Collective. The collective is a group of women who focus on Indigenous mothering. We like to say that we focus on issues from womb to tomb. Same thing, you all have met or at least been exposed to various collective sisters here on the show. And so then for today, I actually get to introduce you to another sister, a sister in my working world. And so we will bring her on in one quick second. I just have 2 announcements. One, I want to encourage you, as always, to go to our website and become a member of NPU. All you got to do is provide an email address for us. I'm tired, y'all. Anyway, somebody's going to work out the prepositions and just answer a few basic questions. It doesn't cost anything. It just allows us to be able to communicate with you through your email. And typically, you also end up getting announcements or information a little bit sooner than just following it on our Facebook page. Also, we have our second town hall on December 3rd, and we are going to have activist Dolores Huerta. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to see what she has to share and say, and obviously the connections that she's going to make to education and all of the changes that we're living during this time. Okay. So now let's bring on Diana Collins. I am going to add her in. Hello. Hi. Normally I do the introduction beforehand, but I'm going to just do it with you here. What's that?
I said, okay, then.
Yeah. Well, I was good. I was excited, and I could just see you over there, like really ready to come in. So Diana and I, we worked together. We worked together at Chandler Gilbert Community College. That's how we first met. But I really appreciate Diana, because if I think about some of my colleagues and my friends, you're actually one of the people who check on me. And you're actually better at checking on me than actually I am reciprocating. So I really appreciate you for that. But within your professional roles, you're a nurse practitioner, right? You're a nurse educator. You're also an Army veteran. You're a mom to 2 beautiful Afro-Latina women. And you're a wife to an Army veteran. I appreciate your family so much. I appreciate your husband as well. We were talking about this before. I don't even know how you do everything that you do, right? You are near completion. So we should be calling her doctors here in a minute, with her Doctorate of Nursing Practice. I know that you have a heart and a passion. We've done this work together, right? Of addressing kind of issues in the African American community and also the LGBTQ LGBTQIA plus community. I know you focus a lot on health disparities, nursing education, holistic care, and like that's not enough. You're also, and dude, this is like my bio, which is like you're also the host of a podcast called the Soulful Eclectic. And I actually want to throw in a little bit more. I know you're also pursuing an acting career. So this is who you are. I want to like give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
How are you, Diana?
I'm still upright. Through
which
all
days is good.
Which, today, is a good day. It's a good day.
It is. I did my best to kind of hold true to and give a good description of who you are, but are there any other parts of yourself that you want to describe or give the audience some background about?
Well, I'm that eclectic person, which is why I have the podcast, The Soulful Eclectic, because I'm just all over the place. And there's not one thing that I can say makes me me. I'm just that person. I do everything. I try to, I do community activism. I go into the community and I teach about healthcare. I'm in the LGBT community. I'm in the Black community. I'm in the senior community. I'm all over the place.
Do you qualify to be a senior, or you're just hanging out?
I teach them.
I was like, tell me something I don't know here. I was like,
I'm not in seniority yet.
like we're the same age, pretty much.
But as a nurse practitioner, my focus was geriatrics. So I continue to hold to that, and any chance I get, I go into the senior population and, do some education on, life, healthcare issues, things like that.
So, I normally have a different format, but I just feel like I want to follow up directly with, kind of some of your questions, because I know we're going to get to all the other questions just in how you naturally communicate. So are you doing work within the geriatric community right now?
Right now, no, because of COVID-19, we're not allowed to do too much to go in unless you have family, and even that's restricted. So unfortunately, I am on hold on that. As on that end as well, and also in my homeless community as well. I'm on hold on that too. So yeah, I'm kind of like just waiting.
Well, I was going to ask, like, what are some of the issues that you're seeing within the geriatric community right now during COVID? And but are maybe at least that you're reading, because you have a closeness to the population. So what are the concerns?
So the main concern right now is just recuperating and recovering from the illness if they do contract it, because they're not going to bounce back as quickly as you or I may. And they have several different comorbidities that also predispose them to being, affected once, not twice, but, so they can recover maybe, but they're going to be prone to get it again. So
let's define comorbidity for folks. That's one of those good professor words.
Yeah.
Me too.
I know, these are my professor words. So when I talk about comorbidities, that's the other disease processes that you may be living with. So someone may have hypertension, but also may be also living with diabetes and congestive heart failure. So all these other disease processes that compound just one illness, like getting the flu or COVID-19.
Yeah. I mean, I think to the most simplest definition, it's having two things, right? It's dealing with two disorders.
You have a party.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of people, sadly, right now that have parties. And the people who have the most comorbidity, right, we know are being impacted the most, right? So, okay. So having people, right, recover, having geriatric folks recover from COVID is a big deal. I'm sure also making sure that they don't contract COVID. I know I'm really concerned about seniors and their isolation, and that's it's a population that we can maybe have greater incidence of depression, greater incidence of anxiety, or greater comorbidity, other issues, right? This term that we keep using. And then to isolate and to not be around your family and your friends. And then also maybe to not be able to access technology as well as you and I can. I'm really concerned. I think about actually some of the elders in my community that I'll call and they'll say, like, I'm sad that I can't go hang out with you all because I need to take care of myself. So
Yeah. And that's another thing, because we do veterans art, and with this, we're not allowed to do it. They're really trying really hard to do via Zoom and things like that. But again, you mentioned technology. How many of us at 80 and 90 are using that technology that well? There really aren't that many, right? And then you talk about the other issues that they are ailing with, the dexterity of using a laptop or a iPad. They may not have that ability to do those movements. So it's those things that if you have a senior in your life or your neighbor, check in on them, definitely.
yeah. And if you can set them up, I actually want to tell a story that I think you're going to appreciate. So I'm thinking a lot. I'll actually, Kaya Kessler, she is somebody who was on the election show and she is an elder within the collective. I love her dearly, 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 dearly. And she's actually one of the people that I'm referring to right now who, just has to take care of herself. So she has to stay home, right, and stay back. And so I often talk to her about, I remember my dad passed away about 11 years ago now. I remember when he was on his deathbed, we were in the room and it was my grandmother, his mom, right, my dad and myself. And he had been planning to put a computer in her house and she was kind of like going to accept, right, allow him to put the computer in the house. But she was like, only you can do it. I just think she had a lot of fears, right? And Kay and I talk about this too, just fears around technology. And so anyway, I had my laptop. And so he asked me in the hospital room, he's like, bring the laptop. I want to show your grandmother something. Right. And, he's like, pull up a recipe, right? He wanted her to see the ease and how quick this information could be transmitted. But he also wanted to show her that, like, look, here are 3 generations of family members that are having a conversation around content and information and able to share it. And so Kaya, I'm going to keep going back to her because she's an example of an elder who I'm not shaming her, is not technologically savvy, but she has learned how to use Zoom. I've taught her how to use Zelle and Cash App and Venmo.
Wow.
All these different things. And then what it's taken is it's just been some of us like walking her through it, talking her through it. And now she has Zoom backgrounds and I don't even have Zoom backgrounds.
I just did that today for the first day.
It's amazing. It's so fun, and I just can't get there. And she, she'll talk about how connected she feels and how it's been a lifesaver, and like so much so that it led her to be on a Facebook Live and doing all this stuff. So it's helping her, but it takes that time, that extra effort that is sometimes like so hard to give.
Yeah, and especially those in the communities that don't have a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the biggest community that are at risk for depression and anxiety because they don't have the resource. They don't have family members that's bringing in an iPad for them to have that, to decrease that social isolation that they're living with at this point. So those are the ones who really need us to go in and say, hey, how you doing? And those are the people that I was going to visit and, have those conversations with. And unfortunately now with this, I can't get there.
Absolutely. And, one other thing I've mentioned on other shows, if we can equip, right, our grandparents, our elders, right, with this technology, they can actually help us a little bit with our kids, right? And with all this multiple roles that I feel like the people in our age range, the 20 to 50 somethings, right? 60 somethings, the responsibility we're shouldering. Because if they can read a story, right, to the younger ones, if they can try to help them with the math problem because they're Zooming right along with them, right? you know me, Diana, I am very idealistic. Whatever I want, like I do everything I can to like realize that dream or that vision. I think that would be like an excellent way to kill multiple birds with one stone, right? That's probably a bad analogy, right? But to help multiple people. Have you seen any programs or agencies that are doing a really good job of helping seniors out?
No,
No.
I,
Okay.
unfortunately.
And that's so sad. And then it speaks to then like your emphatic and quick no. It also just speaks to like um it's not a capitalist interest, because if there was money to be made, then we would see a bunch of services.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to say hi really fast just to some people who are saying hi in the chat. So hi Ananda, hi Dorian, and I know that there's different people kind of in here. So thank you. Always, I kind of forget to tell you all thank you for joining, but also please share the video in case you know somebody that can get something out of this. So let's transition for you, Diana, which I want to talk about actually your work. So let's talk about your main focus is healthcare within the LGBTQ community, and also just with other marginalized groups. So tell us about that work.
So I actually started a page for LGBTQ health and wellness. And the goal is to provide information to increase the knowledge for the community and within the community because unfortunately, we still have disparities and biases when we go to the doctor's offices. And I wish we didn't, but we do. And we don't have facilities that are geared just to the LGBTQ community in every city.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to educate the community on how to, one, recognize someone who is an ally, and then two, how to get your needs met for those who are treating you and may not be an ally, and letting you know that you have choices. You don't have to stay with one provider or this provider. You have a choice to choose. Okay, you're not doing what I need you to do, so I need you to move on. All right, because in order to have adequate health care, you have to trust your provider, number one. And your provider has to know you completely.
Hmm.
And if you're not comfortable sharing those intimate details about yourself with your provider, then how well are you going to get treatment and be treated for disease processes, especially now with our transgender population? Okay, because even though our population is transgender male, transgender female, there's still components of their healthcare that cannot be affirmed.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
And I understand what you're saying with affirmed,
So,
but their healthcare can. Go
so
ahead.
with affirmation, which I'm saying is that you biologically can't change. Right? So even though someone is transitioning from female to male, there's still components. You're biologically female, and that cannot be changed. So hormones, yes, we can take your uterus and things like that, your reproductive organs out, yes, but there's still parts of you that still remain as
Yeah.
female and as male. So it's that preventative health that is going missed within the community because the comfort level isn't there. Right?
And also, I imagine, just medical practitioners just not having a level of comfort and understanding to be able to deal with kind of, right, hormones that we more typically associate with women, right, or those identified as women versus hormones that are more typically associated with like a male presentation. And then also just comfort, like how to even broach the topic, how to ask, right? Because we rely so much on like these visual cues of I perceive myself as, staring at a man. And so I'm going to ask this set of questions. And when I perceive myself speaking with a woman, I'm going to ask this set of questions. And there's not a lot of opportunity or even practice for those questions to cross over.
No, and that's where it goes to that being comfortable with your practitioner, because then the patient, are going to be more apt to be open and honest about who you are so that the appropriate questions can be asked of you in those preventative measures when it comes to your healthcare. And unfortunately, that's being missed. So one of the things I love to say is, to treat me, you have to know me,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If you don't know me, how you can't treat me at all. You're going to treat parts of me, yes, but not in the entirety. And I need you to treat me entirely. And that's what, going into the community, I want to get across. Open your mouth, be vocal about who you really are. Right? If that judgment comes, then that's not the place for you. Move on.
Mhm. Absolutely. It is so important. So what are some of the, I mean, that's a tip right there, but what are some of the ways that, or suggestions you give to your clients or the people that you're educating on how to be their best healthcare advocates?
Ask questions. Be prepared when you go into your doctor's office. Right? First, front line, know yourself. Know your baseline.
Mm-hmm.
No one can tell you how to be you but you.
Yes.
So know your baseline.
They liked your treatment quotes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's important. It's really important. But it starts with you. Know yourself, know your baseline, know what makes you feel better, what makes you feel worse, what works, and what doesn't work for you. All right. Because, yes, we have this big graph we call an algorithm that we use to treat you, but it doesn't fit everybody. It's just a guideline, but you know you better than anyone. So I always say, start there. Take an account of you, is what we say in nursing, a needs assessment. Do a needs
Mm-hmm.
assessment for yourself, right? And then I always tell people, keep a journal of your health, a healthcare journal, okay? Get copies of your medical records, of your labs, of your scans, so that when you do make those transitions from physician to physician, you have records, all right? You are your best historian.
Mm-hmm.
No one tells your story better than you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
up to that practitioner to actually sit and listen to you. That's what you're there for. And if they don't, then you can get up and move, right? Ask the questions. The only way you can ask the question is if you know. And the only way if you know, if you do your research. So if you have a healthcare condition, research it. We have WebMD. We have, I'm going to go way back. We got the encyclopedia. We have the library.
I grew up with the encyclopedia, so I'm with you.
All the way through the index, right? You always come back when that letter was gone.
Or when your parents couldn't pay, and so you had to stop at G or L or whatever letter, right?
Where is it? But yeah, so we have all these resources that are available to us. Utilize them. We use it to buy the latest and greatest sneakers, to buy the next, what is it, PlayStation 5 that's coming out. We stand online to get that on the computer. So why not look at the information that's going to keep you alive?
Mm-hmm.
Why not
Absolutely.
take accountability of yourself? Don't leave it all in the hands of your physician. They're a part of your healthcare team, but you are the healthcare team. Because without you, they don't matter. They don't count. They're irrelevant. So do the research and
And especially, oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was saying, and especially because we all live with our phones in our hand, right? So we have a little computer in our hands, and so it's not to shame. It's. I think about this all the time. I think about the amount of time that I may be spending looking, being on social media, right? When,
Mhm.
I could have learned something. Although I'm learning, right? We are reading. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit that we do read all day long, right? But what is it that you're taking in? And so, well, okay, if I have this computer in my hand, could I be looking up an article, right? That's better for me. Okay, so we have some questions coming in. I have some things that I wanted to back to with what you said, but let's take the question actually. So, hi, Sandy. This is one of my somebody I refer to as a Thea for sure. What do you do when you cannot change your doctor? So I'm sure when maybe you're disagreeing with them or there's some sort of limitation.
So when you can't change your doctor, that's when you really want to do that research and arm yourself with all the knowledge so that you're coming in prepared to have that conversation. Because I know in some parts of the world, it is hard to change your doctor, right? To find a good doctor, you probably have to travel miles and miles, and then you can't get there, so you stay where you are. If that's the case, I make them work for you. You're going to see them, make them work, okay? But the only way you can make them work is if you do your homework, all right? And know what you're talking about when you come in. So that would be my suggestion, and that's what I tell people in the community, because that's the biggest thing. I can't travel. The doctor's right there, and I get it. So here's what you do. Okay.
And you brought up the healthcare journal, and so I'll share that. I don't think I've told you this, Diana, that many of you know. So my husband and my father passed away 11 years ago, and they passed away a day apart from one another. Sandy's saying thank you, and earlier Caesar was saying you gave great advice. But anyway, so I was just, they both passed away from cancer. Like my family, we were in the hospital for months, right? And so because there was just so much going on, I was the primary provider for my husband. Because there was so much going on, I got a notebook and I just started writing everything down, just charting every time he vomited, every time he felt some kind of pain, what he had eaten, how much he had slept, right? Because at minimum, honestly, I think it was probably because I felt a certain amount of pressure of like that there were so many things, and for a while things were unknown, that I knew just write information down. So then what happened was, when I went to the doctor and I pulled out my little spiral notebook, they were like, oh, one, you're prepared, right? Two, you are giving us a ton of information. So the way that they engaged me was so much different than I think it would have been otherwise, and I don't really know how it would have been otherwise, right? Because we had to wait for some things. So that's, I think, what a lived example that I experienced.
Absolutely. And that's key. So I'm glad that you have an example, because yes, I do it. I have it for, my husband, and I try to tell the kids to do the same thing. But they're 25 and 23. So well, they're getting there. But it's important. It really is. So we teach patients to be mindful of the medications that they're taking, but what about the rest of their health? That's all part of it. So many of our patients are going to see more than one practitioner, right? We talked about that whole having more than one disease, having more than one condition. So all those doctors don't talk to each other, right? So you're getting medication from a cardiologist, and then the nephrologist is giving you one. So your cardiologist, your heart doctor, your nephrologist, your kidney doctor, they're all giving you all these medications. And then you're sitting there with 20 pills, and it's like, okay, do I need all of this? And you may not need all of it, but the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing unless you have that conversation when you see the right or the left. And that's where your journal comes into play, because then if you have like a 5-subject notebook or something like that, you can have the cardiologist, the heart doctor in one, the kidney doctor in another. And then when you go see them, okay, this is what Dr. Jones did, and this is what Dr. Spiral did, that kind of thing. And that's a great example of that.
Absolutely. And and also what ends up happening is that once they see that you're equipped with information, then they trust you more. And that it shouldn't be that way, but they trust you as being, and it's not that they trust you more because they think you're lying. They realize that you are a better recorder of information, and so you're more verifiable, right? They don't have to do the work of like, am I sifting through, like, is this person adding extra? Is this person like, just kind of having an overreaction, right? You get it gets to be like this collaboration, and then they start to open up more with you. Well, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. Let's try this. The other thing too, that's I think really important about healthcare journals, is that then you notice, right? You know what? I ate this. Guess what? I ate fried food, and then my stomach got impacted, right? or I took my medication a little bit late today. And so then I had, I don't know, my fingers got a little swollen or whatever. And so, or my blood pressure went up, right? It's too hard to keep all this information in our head. Whereas if we don't write it down and document it, then we can't make any sense of it. And if we can't, and it's happening to us, why do we expect our medical health care practitioners, right, to do that?
Exactly. And it shows you're vested in your healthcare. You're not just showing up and saying, "Doc, fix me." Right? So you are an active member of the team, and that's what they want to see.
And let's talk about that, because I think, so, that's a stereotype. So let's go into, some of the stereotypes that exist within different communities. I'm going to read some of the comments. So, so actually Sandy is talking about when her mom was sick, that they had a notebook. Let me put it on the screen. Excuse me. That when her mom was sick, that they had a notebook with all of her information, the doctor's meds and the treatments, right? And so just attesting to how much that helped. But okay, so let's talk about like the stereotypes, right? Because that's basically what we're talking about. I have more than I can add, but like, what stereotypes exist for different populations to make it so important to have people to advocate for their own healthcare?
Well, one thing is that, for the African American population, it is that we don't care. We don't take care of our health. We kind of just abuse our bodies, and then we come in and expect a miracle pill to fix us. Right? I know a lot of our older African American seniors do not trust doctors, so they come in and they tell them partial truths about what's going on, right? And then go home and do the complete opposite. Oh, I don't trust that doctor. He's a quack. Then why did you go? So they already have that, well, you're just here to waste my time kind of thought process. So that's another one. Within the LGBTQ community, it's everybody you walk in has AIDS, which boggles my mind. If you have an ailment of some sort, they're automatically testing you for HIV. The guy could have had just prostatitis. It just could have been just.
It could be appendicitis, yeah.
It didn't have to be HIV, but they automatically label you right away. So that's one of the things that a couple of the stereotypes. I mean, there's so many, but.
Well, that confirmation bias, right? All of us do it, but and when both of us teach, right? And so when I teach my classes, I'm always talking about the limits of my field and psychologists, right? It doesn't matter how educated we are. It doesn't even matter that like I teach on issues of diversity, right? Because of our need to classify and synthesize information quickly. And literally, I'm going to say this, because we're smart and we're good at that classification, right? It can lead us to stereotype even more, right? And then add the pressure of managed care, add the pressure of limited time, add the pressure of stress and just our normal lives, right? It makes sense for us to be like, no, check. It's not that. I think it's this. And then we feel good about our ability to diagnose that quickly, right? It's a bad recipe.
It is a bad recipe. And which is why I try to arm the community as much as I can with the tools that's going to help them start to break down those stereotypes and those biases when you come into the door. Make the doctors listen to you. Make the practitioners listen to you. Because your voice is important.
Yes. Stereotype, that folks that are overweight, that they're not exercising.
I have vegans that are overweight. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're eating the wrong food. It's just the body makeup. It is what it is. So it's those stereotypes that we have to put to bed and treat the person that's in front of you. Not the community that you used to dealing with, but the one that showed up today. That's who you're responsible for. We talk about mindfulness and being present, right? So be present with that person that's in front of you. And be
And
known.
I think about like the Latino communities, right? And men as well. So I would say this is pervasive for lots of men, right? Maybe not going to the doctor until it's particularly serious, right? And then on the other side, there can also be this mistrust of medical practitioners within the African American community, but there can also be maybe holding medical practitioners with too much, giving them too much authority, right? And
Yeah.
feeling like I can't question, right? Or I shouldn't because you're educated, you're this, you're that. I make fun of it like every day that somebody calls me Dr. Anjali here on the show, right? My colleagues do, and then we're in meetings, and I'm like, you guys, I'm just Anjali, but it's part of that, it's part of that trying to respect the title. Go ahead.
Right. And that is why I am so adamant about being in the community. Say, guys, you are it. We can't treat you unless you come in to see us. And our word is not gold. It's not God. It's not it. You can question us. You can ask a question. And the only way you can ask that question is if you arm yourself with that knowledge. Because you don't know what you're going to ask. You become that proverbial bobblehead. Yeah, okay, I understand. And then you get home and just have no clue about what was said. But if you come in, like you tell your students, pre-prepare, read your chapters before you come into class, right? So before you go into the doctor, know about your meds, know about your condition, and then, you can have that, comfortable conversation, because it really should be a conversation and not a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
Right? You should be contributing to it.
Absolutely. And so, you earlier you gave the suggestion that, people you can fire your doctor, right? You can choose for you can elect another doctor. You can ask for a second opinion. What are some of the best ways to go about that? Because like psychologically, I'm thinking of like, oh, this gets into like conflict resolution and avoidant personality and all these things. But what's the best way for folks to go about that? How do they know when they should fire their doctor?
Well, here's the thing. Only you know when you've had enough, honestly. So when you feel like you've continuously come into this position and your needs were not being met, your conversations you were having were being ignored, then it's up to you to decide, okay, I've had enough. I need treatment. I need assistance. So it's at that point where you say, okay, now I need to find someone else who's going to listen to me. And that's why I said it's a good habit to get into, as when you see your doctors, get copies of your records, because that helps you with those uncomfortable conversations of, I need to change my doctor, because you already have copies of everything already. So you don't really have to say, okay, I need to sign a release of information because I'm changing doctors and here's where I'm going, and feel awkward about writing the new doctor's name and information. You already have it. So I can just take my file and just mosey on and fire this one and move on to the next one. But just make sure you tell your insurance company that you're changing doctors.
Yeah.
That's important.
Absolutely. And, and I use the word firing doctors because that's how we hear it. But it also, there's a part of me that maybe wishes I wouldn't have used that word, because I also think we need to normalize, like, it's okay. Not everyone cuts our hair the way we like. Not everyone attends to our car the way we like, right? It's the same thing. Medical practitioners don't all fit us, right?
Yeah.
It is okay to want to be with somebody that like sees you and that you communicate well with and that you even like.
Yes. Yes. I mean, we take time to research our cars, right? Our clothes that we wear, our jobs. Why not do the same with our doctors? They're taking care of our health. And that's the most important. Our body's our temple, right? So why not find the best housekeeper for your temple?
Yeah. Absolutely. We have a comment here again, Sandy from Sandy, and hello, Laura. Also, my mom's in the chat. But just saying that these are good comments for people who are in Medicare, right? And their doctors are dropped off the insurance. So again, this forced reason why you maybe need to switch, and you can be equipped by, right, just getting your records. So what does that look like? I mean, I'm playing naive here. Do you ask every time? Do you only do it for major procedures? How does that work?
I would ask every time, because every visit that you make is an important visit. It's your history. It's what's going on with you, right? So every time you go, just say, "Can I have a copy of that? Can I have a copy of my labs results? Can I have a copy of that X-ray?" Right? Once the note is dictated, can I have a copy of my dictated note? That kind of thing. And if you do it that way, you will find that when it's time to move, you have everything. But if you're missing pieces, you're not paying for a complete record to be copied and sent to you.
Yeah. And I think, sorry, I'm just hearing you, jargon, vocabulary, if we think about professions and we think about jobs, or you think about that, there are customs, right? We know how to, maybe some of us know what you're supposed to do in church. Some of us know what you're supposed to do at Starbucks. Some of us know what you're supposed to do in a Black community, right? There's these things that you do. Part of that, so much of that is learning the vocabulary, right? So, and that's just comes, like, you don't have to be, formally educated. Just pay attention. What are the words they're using? Ask them what that means, and learn that. Write it down. That's another good reason to have your journal, so that you can ask for dictation notes, right?
Exactly. Yep. So ask for the notes that, because we don't write handwritten notes anymore. Everything is on the phone and typed up for us, either by a transcriptionist or someone is going to type it up for us. But yeah, so if you don't, just like we tell the students and our kids, if you don't know the word, look it up. It's easy enough to do.
I need you to say that twice for Miss Beyonce, because she gets mad at me when I tell her to look stuff up.
I know. You're right there. Why don't you just tell me? No, look it up, because you remember it.
Well, Beyonce, she's like, you know it. Why wouldn't you just tell me? I'm like, because I want you to learn it.
Exactly. So learn about your healthcare. Look it up. It's easy enough, and you will find that again, you'll be more aware of what's going on, and you will be more apt to have those comfortable conversations in the office when you go.
Yeah.
And it's hard, because I know there is a section of our population that is illiterate, functional illiterate, and that's that fine rope that we walk, right? And a lot of people don't have someone that knows that they're functional illiterate. They just kind of keep going through the day. So to those individuals that do not read very well, I would say still get a copy of your records, but you have places that can help you to read what's going on and help you understand if you do not have a family member that can help you. And also you can go to like the library and things like that, and they'll help you, but you still need, just because you are not equipped to know doesn't mean you don't have the right to know, or you don't need to know. And that's what I want to get out there, because it's hard. No one admits that they can't read well.
Mm-hmm.
So why do they get lost in the shuffle of it all?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And definitely, like, medical practitioners they're certainly not school psychologists, right? They're certainly not educators to be able to assess, is my patient, able to kind of take in or absorb the information.
right.
I would also give a suggestion too, for those, this is maybe a text-based suggestion. Many of us have the ability to record on our phone, right? So for somebody, if writing is an issue, dictate for yourself, right? Record a video of, like, this is what I remember. And you have to do it like early on. You have to do it right away. Ask your doctor, can I record this, so that when I go home, right, I can hear and listen in on everything you told me, so it doesn't get all jumbled up, right? Make sure you ask before you do it.
Ask.
Yeah, there's so many. We're very quickly running out of time, and I don't want to lose the emphasis, right? Of like your heart and I linked your Facebook page here in the chat for the page that's related to health and wellness for the LGBTQ community. What are some ways, those of us who are not in the community, how can we be good allies? How can we support folk?
Definitely be mindful. Okay, I just start there. And when you are in the community and you don't address the community as you see it. All right. If you see someone and you don't know whether they're transgender or, you know, straight, gay, all those letters that we have there, just ask. You know, a lot of us in the community would prefer you to ask than to assume, and use the proper pronouns. And if you mess up and make a mistake, it's okay. You know, just say, you know what, I'm sorry. And then correct yourself and then just move on. But be gracious and be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just for human nature altogether. Just be gracious and be kind. Be warm, be welcoming, and don't pass judgment.
Mm-hmm. And
Judgment and,
try.
and
Yeah.
try. Right.
Effort. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it. Just make an effort.
Yeah. Yeah, make an effort to see them in the way that they want to be seen, right? So, and I can give an example. This happened to me recently. I was speaking to somebody whose pronouns are they and them, and I was using feminine pronouns. And so the first time I heard myself, I said she, and I was like, okay, I just heard myself, right? So then the second time I said it again. And so I just said right there, I'm so sorry, you know, and I said the person's name. I'm so sorry. I have heard myself now twice now use feminine pronouns with you. And I apologize because you told me it's they and them. And actually, once I did that, it relieved me. And then I didn't do it again in the conversation, you know, instead of taking up space to be like, oh my gosh, I'm messing up. They're going to think I'm not okay or with them or whatever, you know? No, I'm fine. It's an adjustment for me too.
Yeah. And that's it's natural. That's with any of us. But it goes to just being conscious of it and just acknowledging it and changing the behavior.
Yeah. So how does all this work out in your podcast, right? Let's talk about that. Where do people go? Tell me, so we're going to I'm be on your podcast in a little bit.
Yeah, you're part of season 2. I wrapped up season 1. I have one more episode to do to close out this season. But there's 24 episodes up there now. And really the podcast is, oh my gosh, is eclectic. It's everything. It's whatever was on my mind that day, whatever I felt was in my spirit. We talk about spirituality. We talk about growth, development. But, you know, one of the things that runs consistent through the whole podcast is being your authentic self. Okay. And the journey to being your authentic self. That is something that is the main focus of the platform, honestly, because I always end somewhere in there. How did you become your authentic self? What led you to even start that journey to become your authentic self? You know, because we all are still on that journey. I know I am. I don't know who I am these days, but
we talk about this.
Right? I don't know. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you just check in with yourself. And how do I continue to show my authentic self on a day-to-day basis when I come in? Because we spend so much time trying to be what we feel the world wants us to be, what we feel our families wants us to be. But if you ask someone truly, who are you? Not many of them can give you a straight answer. It all falls back to, well, my mom says I like to do this, so I think I'm this. And then I grew up doing this, but then I got married and this is, but again, who are you? You know, so that's what the podcast is. We do, you know, talk about some growth and development, definitely a lot of mental health, especially now during COVID.
Yeah.
You know, trying to stay up and lifted and lifting each other up and building just mind, body, and soul. So, yeah.
So I'm going to give you your question. This is like the interviewer interviewing the interviewer. So, Diana, soon to be Dr. Collins. No, I'm getting all corny now. Okay. But yeah, what led you to become your authentic self? So if somebody were to highlight your path right now, how'd you get here?
Oh man, definitely still a journey. Like I said, I just really did take one day and looked at myself and said, "Who am I?
Mm.
What in the world am I doing?" Like I was literally in a car and I was about to do something really reckless, right? And I looked at myself in the rearview mirror and said, "You idiot! What are you doing? Who are you? You are not this person."
Mhm.
So you either going to continue to go down that road and be that person that you're planning to be right now, or you're gonna stop and you're gonna figure this out. And so at 40, that's what I did. You
Yeah.
know, I said, I don't want to be that person. I'm not this crazy woman that's running up and down doing these things. That's not me. So what am I going to do to change it? So I started holding myself accountable to myself and doing self-care, acknowledging the things that I like to do and doing the things I like to do and being a part of the things I like to do, and and make it a healthy journey to wellness. And that journey is continuing. Every day I just figure out a new part of me that I didn't know I was, like this actress and model. I had no idea
Oh, I'm
that
so there for you, girl.
I had no idea that that was even living within me. But it's, taking that time to do those accountability things to self that started that journey. The spirituality piece of it, I always knew I was different, but I didn't know I was that intuitive and that, yes, I was eclectic. Um, but just acknowledging those pieces of me, right? And just building on them and not discarding them because it's not within the falls into the norm of society. So that's the part that, it's a constant journey. Like I said, it's a battle because you always say, "What, this is what I should do." But it's like, no, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So it's those pieces and it's hard. It's hard.
Thank
Oh my
you. But you already know. I'm like, yeah, we pretend that this process is glamorous,
mm-mm.
beautiful, easy. It is not.
It's not.
It is not. But what I always say, it's not easy, but it is worthwhile.
It's worthwhile. Oh man, this has been a journey and it continues. And I tell you, I love the ride. I always say, you're going to get some waves, but you have to learn to jump up and bounce with those waves and ride the wave.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to ride the wave out and
I'm
enjoy.
hearing all these songs in my head, but yeah, go ahead. I'm like, let's ride the whip. Like, okay, go ahead. Yeah. Huh?
But yeah, so just enjoy life and have the best life that I can have. My girls are adults. God help me, I don't know how, but they're adults, right? 25 and 23. So I guess now I can really focus on me and be the true me that I can be, you know.
Have in this time of COVID and being home, and not that you're home doing a little amount of
No,
work, but have you been able to connect to yourself more? And have you been able to evolve, in your process more, or have you been too busy for that?
no, actually, it's given me that opportunity to really dig more into me being me and giving me that time to actually sit and think about what it is I want to do and where I want to be in my life. And, where I see this journey going and how I need to really be present and accountable to myself.
Yeah.
Because we grew up watching our families work, and work was always the first thing. And I just had this conversation with Danny the other day, and he asked, "Why do I put work first?" And it's like, yeah, I don't know. What's wrong with me,
And
right?
your husband, yeah. Hmm.
My husband, yeah. So, and And I sat there and I said, it's because this is what we saw growing up. This is how our families showed that they loved and cared for us. They went to work, they did what they need to do, they made sure we had everything. And I have to get back to that and say, but if I'm not if I'm not the best me, working is going to come and go. They can replace me just as quickly as I can take a nice deep breath.
Yes.
But your family. So that is one of the things that kind of like, again, keeps me going. It's like, yeah, you're right. I can go take care of myself first and, do this piece. So it's that trying to find that balance. That's the hard part. And you and I had this conversation.
Frequently. Well, and it's, I love memes. And so, and I love educational memes, like psychoeducational memes. And so there's one about, our perfectionism and that high drive for work. It's a trauma response for so many of us, and so for our parents, right? It's a trauma response because like, hey, I immigrated here and I need you to get good grades because this stuff has to be worth it. I could use another S word, but this stuff has to be worth it, right? Or, hey, our lineage is rough, right? And so you don't get it as easy. I'm talking about Black folks. You don't get it as easy as everyone else. So you have to work hard. Of course, we want people to work hard. Of course, we want to be high achieving, but not at the cost of our health, our wellness, our happiness, they're like, we can try to strive a balance.
Right. So yeah, again, do I know who the true me is? Nope. But I'm having fun finding out.
And also, I would guess I want to give back to you, but you know who you are right now,
Yeah,
and who you are is going to shift and change and evolve every day and every season of your life. And so all you can do is know who you are right now.
That's it. Be present, right?
Yeah. So I'm just going to read, right? People saying, right, Maria, such great conversations. Let's see, I can flash everybody's and pictures and stuff. Such great conversation. Yolanda Castro, which is actually this is Marisol's aunt, everyone, who watches religiously, like she's our number one fan. Anyway, just thanking us, right, and saying congratulations to you, Diana. And then Christy, one of our colleagues, right, Christy McDonald, she's psychology faculty with me, just thanking us for our time and the extremely valuable information. Time, this hour. it's run.
It felt like it was an hour. It's like, what the heck?
I know. Diana, thank you. Thank you for, there's so many things I could thank you for, but even like right now, as I'm trying to be really present with what I want to thank you for is thank you for your presence and like the example that you're giving. And this is just who you are. Like you just bring all of you to everything that you do. And I think that's why you accomplish so much, so like, just thank you for being a model of like somebody who doesn't have it all figured out, but is sure going to put in a ton of work to do the best that she can and provide the best product. And personally, thank you for your friendship to me. So I do. It means a lot. And I've told you, it means a lot. Like, I feel scared saying this. I love it when people check on me. Now, everybody doesn't need to check on me. I'm scared to say this. Like, but no, that warms my heart. Like, and it means a lot to me. And you are one of those people who do that for me. So I appreciate you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a question here in the box that or in the comments that I want to respond to. The question is, where can this be rewatched? And so Sandy, I'm going to share it. Y'all go to the National Parents Union, like their page, like my pages, right? So this is always on my page. It's on my YouTube page, but it's always on the National Parents Union page as well. So yeah, and please share it, right? So go ahead and if you're watching, however you're watching this, go ahead and share it on your page, and then it's already there. So, all right, everyone, have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Get some rest. Get out of the store so that you don't have to do all that shopping with a lot of people. And enjoy your, just the upcoming week. I hope you all get some good rest. Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.